In today's video, I'm going to be sharing our talent acquisition system and frameworks that we use to grow our company to over 110 employees and contractors. I'm going to quickly go through our org chart just so we're on the same page and then get right into it, talking about the secrets behind this, the different types, our approach, sources, all of the jazz, and then give you guys real examples of how we would hire a copywriter, a senior tech admin, a CMO, and how we actually did it. All right? Then I'm going to go through yesterday's stats. I make these videos every single day, so I will talk buyers, cash collected, Stripe, and an overall company update. Last year, we did 30 million in cash collected. Everything on this channel is me sharing what did work, what did not work, what we are actively doing to try and scale to 100 million a year, all with the goal of finding top talent, opportunities, and building a network of cool people doing the same. All right, so subscribe to these if you like them and you want to see more. Comment some feedback and some topic requests, and like them if you like them, and don't if you don't. So let's get into it. To start, CEO is going to be the other co-founder, or the co-founder. I'm not a co-founder. Okay, clear that up. Is going to be the co-founder, and I come in as chief whatever officer. I hate titles, but it's chief tech, it's chief operating, it's integrator, it's whatever you want to call it. Definitely more of like the vision side of things, and definitely more of the detail-orientated action operation side of things. Okay. If these are lagging again, I need to get to 2,500 subscribers, and I'm going to buy a new laptop. So GG. Then you got the marketing department, all the classic things. You guys can stop this and look back at this if you want, but the media buyers, the copywriters, all the things in marketing. Sales, we're going to be broken out into, tech is right here. So senior tech lead is kind of like technically right here, but I just have it here for this example. Tech lead tech department is just going to be these two people. Sales is going to be a setter division and a closer division, and then a basically like admin or operations of both departments. And then you're going to have people and product, which is going to be what we're talking about today a lot. But that's going to be everything from CS to the fulfillment side and the coaching. And then basically these are all going to be pieces of marketing a little bit. This is marketing, this is sales, and these are going to be the people side of things. So managing people, onboarding, and then once they're in, right? So the real secret behind this. You can hire one person and not even have to worry about this, okay? So the example of this, and it's so funny because I literally called our chief of people right before this, and I was like, I'm gonna make this video, just FYI, and I know you do all of this because she crushes this for us, okay? She is the one who sources this, hires them, interviews, onboards, offboards, like everything for us. So the real secret, hire one, and then the video's over, okay? Like, I know that's not realistic for a lot of people who have one or two or five or whatever team, but like you can get to a point where you can have somebody on the team that leads this entire thing for you if this is not your strength. If this is your strength, you're probably not even watching this. So this is just like a first principles thinking or like just top-down approach. It's like if you can manage to do this, you don't have to worry about a lot of this, okay? Now, obviously that's simpler said than done, so let's get into it on the actuals. How we look at hiring is hiring for constraints. We had a period where we were really strong on this, and then we hit a period where we were not very strong on this and got kind of like too heavy, where it was like, oh, it'd be nice to have, and then we got it. Oh, it'd be nice to have, instead of oh, this is like on fire or burning. And you kind of want to dance between those two, but lean towards it's on fire, in my opinion, okay? And why I say that is it's going to keep your cash tighter, or cash more flush. You're going to keep the team tighter. And I think it's just a better overall way to go about it. So everything is a funnel. What I mean by this, and I think this is either my thinking or how everything actually is, but I see this in everything in the world. So everything is a funnel, meaning you are going to have 100 applications, or you're going to have 100 eyeballs on your job post. You're going to have 50 applications. You're going to have 5 that are good. You're going to have 3 that are going to pass an interview. You're going to have 1 that fits the criteria and you hire, right? As an example. Well, that's all what this is. So whether you have a system, if you're talking calls, if you're talking dating, if you're talking whatever, like everything can be seen as these funnels as they get down. And I think that's very important for this, especially when we start to talk about these recurring roles. So examples in our organization who are recurring, that we're recurring hiring for, is going to be something like coach. So I know I said 110 here, but there's one box, but this is like 65 to 70 people right now, okay? CS reps. 3 or 4 right now. Setters, 10. Closers, 20 something. So like you need to constantly be hiring for these, especially if they're high churn. So a coach, a sales rep, a setter. Setter is notoriously a higher churn position just because it's a lower tranche. Sales reps, same-ish. Coaches, not as much, but can, depending on how your team is and your fulfillment. And then one-offs are going to be something like an HR manager. You're not going to continuously be hiring for an HR manager, a senior tech lead, a CMO, right? Those are the examples I'm going to go down, or a version of the examples down here. But these are one-off hires versus recurring hires. And you need to approach that in a different way. So the need, whether you're doing recurring or one-off, is you either need evergreen approach or a singular approach, okay? Evergreen meaning that it is continuously happening. You constantly have a pipeline where you're filling your funnel of people for the role. Singular meaning you're just going right for it. You need it for this one time. Yes, if there's other situations, you might have a couple in the pipeline, but very common for you to just really be hunting for the right person and then placing them, okay? How you're going to approach the hiring is either public or private, and I'll go into the kind of differences of those. And then the sources being, I was using as an example of a copywriter versus an HR director. So the sources that you will find them, where your traffic is, you can look at this literally like a marketing funnel, but like where the traffic that you are getting for this position is going to be in different buckets. Same way that you would run ads at this audience versus this audience, or you would use this traffic source versus this traffic source for different types of people. You do the same thing if you're going to be trying to hire for a copywriter. You're going to be living in marketing world and marketing groups and marketing areas versus HR. You're going to be living in Indeed and more corporate and professional and LinkedIn style, okay? So for evergreen, you are going to want a system and a funnel. So an example that we did is we actually, I think it was called high ticket fitness closers. So we built an entire VSL call funnel that was for hiring because we needed them that bad. And it worked. We've had like 98% of them churn over time. And that's a whole other story about like keeping people and managing and all of that and performance and whatever, and training. But for just getting them, this was crazy good for us. So it literally was an opt-in to a VSL, an application, a book a call, all the automations and emails on the side, and then booking in. And we were doing at that time, for a while we had it direct booking, but then we removed that. And then we just left it as just application. And we reached out to the ones we wanted just because we wanted to make sure they're qualified before just popping on everyone's calendars. But this worked for us for a long time. But you can do this with anything. So as long as you have the application, the booking, or just the application, you can run different traffic sources, whether that's ad, and I'll get into the sources, but whether that's ads, whether that is recurring community posts and emails. So like for a long time, we've hired out of our community, our first 30 to 50 sales reps that crushed for us. That like we had a sales rep that came from our community, purchased our product, actually, longer story, but ended up in our community, purchased our product, then purchased our backend product that we weren't even selling at the time, the coaching, and then became a coach, then became a sales rep, then was the top sales rep that then became a manager and made over like 400 grand the first year that we like took off because she was crushing it so bad. And she was a hybrid between like a lead / manager and a performer, but she was the top performer by far and made 400 grand. It's like, you can find quality people because those kind of people that are already in your product have the highest belief, the understanding of the product, like the certainty around that. A lot of the time they just need to learn the sales skill versus the other way of hiring, which is like they need the sales skill and then they can learn the product or, resonate with the market. And we've had both that have worked. Like some of our top sales reps still are people who are customers. And then we have flipped it to where we're hiring for sales skill and then teach them product because that felt like it might've been a better approach. Not to say it is or isn't, I don't really know. It's just like the conviction and also being able to match the buyer persona is huge. Like if you sell to 46-year-old women and you are a 40 to 6-year-old woman who went through the process, who paid the top dollar already for it, who did all the things that you're asking this person to do, in my opinion, it's a little bit easier than somebody who is a 22-year-old internet marketing high-ticket sales closer who's just potentially bullying them over the line or putting them in position. Like there's just not the same resonance. So side tangent, but recurring in the community posts and having cadence for that, running ads, and then singular sniping. Okay. So sniping, I'm a big fan of, and I'm going to kind of go into that here, but sniping and poaching, similar, but not. Poaching and pulling people from like partnering organizations and stuff, not good. But if you are pulling them in a way that you have a great company, you have a great brand, you have a great offer, you have a great comp plan, you have all these things, and that person is looking at other things, I don't believe that they shouldn't leave. I think that is all fair game. So I like sniping. We've had some of our best people come from other places, whether that's just another job or another similar, like in a different role or the same role. I think this is a big one. Public and private. What I mean by this, Let's say you have somebody who is pretty high up in your organization. In this example, let's use a CMO. We just hired a fantastic CMO. He's like a month in and he's crushing it. And like I can give more updates on that in the future. But let's just say we were hiring for the CMO because and the seat is currently filled. We have a CMO, but we want another one because of performance, because something's wrong, just something. That is going to change how you approach your hiring. So you're going to either go public or you're going to go private. So you're either going to have this on your job boards, you're going to have it listed everywhere, or you're going to be sniping and looking around and trying to find somebody through network and connections. Now, cautionary tale, especially to all these info and coaching style companies, the industry is small. So as soon as there's a feeler out there, it is like once the feeler's out there, people start assuming things. People start telling each other, oh, this happening. People start just getting on interviews just to like get information. So like you need to be very careful unless you're going outside of industry, which is what we have done a couple of times for like some pretty key roles and hires. But in the hot seat ones, the sales, marketing, those are tough. People are going to know when you're hiring. So it's just, I obviously like to be very transparent and like raw about this. So like I try to do that in this. There are times where you can't be as transparent maybe as you want to, or as public as you want to, because it could affect the company's performance and the rest of the team, because you have to solve for one person, because that one person affects 100 other people's employees or lives and families and things. Like there's a time and a place. So sources, the core positions a lot of the time can be filled from niche job boards. The generalist ones are in normal job boards. So a normal one is going to be like a bookkeeper, the HR director, stuff like that. Those are going to be in more corporate normal job boards, okay? Like you want them to have, I could do a whole video on like mission, values, principles, and alignment, and like remote versus in person and all that stuff. But like for sourcing for those positions, generally speaking, you can find them through an Indeed or whatever, run some ads on there, host it, make sure you have good listings, make sure you have that, okay? Niche boards / Facebook groups, the amount of times we've found people in the internet marketing world or like the info coaching space from the info and coaching space job boards or just like specific boards is like 90% hit rate. So I'm a big fan of these. Nothing Held Back has a really good one. And then just in general, if you're in the groups, you see people. Ads, I talked about this a little bit earlier, but running ads direct to them, you generally would only do this on something that is a recurring, like evergreen style one where you consistently need inflow, but you could do it for anything. And then two big ones that I really, really like are company brand and owner brand. So company brand being like, I've heard of you, I've seen it in the space, we see your ads all the time, I've always thought what you could do is really high quality, and that comes back to how you operate the company or how the company is and is reflected in the space. And if you have good enough there and someone looks at your stuff and you have great Trustpilot reviews and you have like, that's huge. So like that draws people in and at least like puts the barrier they have down. And I think that's big. And then owner brand. In the end, it's people working with people. And I'll get into that in these examples, but what I'm doing here, for example, is all about finding and networking with people, both for personally and then also professionally. It's kind of like a mix. My entire life is a complete mix of professional versus personal. And like, that's what this is. It's raw sharing what I'm doing 99% of the day, which is this, and talking about it and then finding other cool people who like to do the same thing. And I have a flood of DMs right now of media buyers, of copywriters, of content things, of other people operating the space, that people work in the same vertical or different verticals, and like it's lead gen and e-com, and oh cool, we also do this. And like there is so much talent out there that if you are good people, you find good people, is my opinion on that. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And then the other co-founder, he already does that, or the co-founder, again, I'm not a co-founder. One of the co-founders does really good with this as well, and I'll get into that with these. So copywriter, VSL editor. How would I find this? So first off, our current copywriter we found as the co-founder that I was just referring to. He went to high school with the guy, stayed connected, they knew each other. He got into copywriting. He started writing copy for us, and he was like number 3 on the marketing team, me being 2 and the copywriter being 3. Like I was building pages, doing tech. Other co-founder, Luke, was doing all the paid media buying, creative, stuff like that. And then he came in as a copywriter. Still to this day is with the company. He writes 2 emails a day, every single day, and does all of our automations and all of the things, okay? So where I would find one now and how we found a VSL editor is I go into these niche job boards that are specific to internet marketing, and I go and find, make posts about this, pushing them into an application or into a DM where I then have a conversation. So We have gotten 50 of these just from making like 1 or 2 posts, because we put company information, so we have the company brand, and we put rough numbers around comp, and then we push them into there, okay? Senior tech admin. This one is completely different. I could not for the life of me hire for this when I wanted to. And essentially what this was a replacement of me. It was like, how do I find somebody that can replace me in all the tech builds, the automations, all of those pieces? And I couldn't do it. I couldn't figure it out. And I tried like 2 or 3 times, and respect the guys who came in and all good, but like the skill capacity was not there. And I didn't know how to hire for it or title it or anything. We ended up finding senior tech admin, doing it, watch a bunch of Layla's video, who crushes at this, by the way. Listen to her. She has way more employees, way more success, all this. I'm just sharing my examples or my experience. For the senior tech admin, we ended up posting on Indeed. The chief of people was like, oh, let's frame it this way instead. Had 10 applications, found one in there, and lo and behold, it was somebody who had their own fitness company prior, that then went out of, like, stopped doing their business and wanted to work somewhere that was in alignment with that, was crazy technical background, then came on to then interviewed. I talked to 2 or 3 people that she introed me to, and he was a perfect fit. And now he's to this day part of this. He has stepped up in the role. He's essentially becoming the CTO, or is the CTO. The only reason he's not is because I'm in the way, to be honest. And so that was like a Indeed classic normal job board hire. A couple applications came through, interview through me, onboarding to the systems. I'm not going to go into the entire fulfillment of systems and hiring or processing and all that and ramping. That can be another video, and operations, but that's how we found him. Perfect. CMO. This is an example of, in the industry, difficult to find, kind of needing to snipe, but we were being public about. Okay, so we're looking for a CMO. We went to the ClickFunnels Funnel Hacking Live. We're walking around. We're like, we need a CMO. And we're already in the talks with a couple people. One person is leaving XYZ organization already and interested, but has this experience. Another person is currently in a role, but like we want them. Other people are applying in that aren't currently in a position. So we're trying to navigate. Generally speaking, the person we want is the person that already has experience, or as a person is someone who already has experience, who has done the thing and can bring in it into our systems and bring it into our company and deploy their systems and experience. Okay. More or less, that's almost always the person who's currently in a role versus somebody who is not. Not to say always, because there are people who leave places because of cultural issues or things that they don't want, and then they come in. There are people who are on the market completely because something happened with the company that was not part of their department that was running successfully, and now they're looking for a gig. But overall, a lot of the time, A players are inside companies already. So that's how this one came to us. It was kind of a mix of those. It was like leaving it because of this, but then also wanted to find something new at the same time. Was looking at multiple offers and was getting hunted by multiple people. And this all came through a connection that the co-founder, that Luke, had with this person already from being in the industry and having conversations. And it was like a networking person-to-person thing. Came in, and then we checked the boxes for, oh, wow, the company brand's amazing. The Trustpilot's great. The people are great. The foundation is there. I can implement this pocket of skills into the company and put them there, okay? So those are some examples. I hope this is what you guys meant when you said talent acquisition system, because it's pretty simple. Like, it's a funnel. It's like you need traffic. You need different conversion events, and you need to optimize them and then get them through. It gets way crazier in like how we onboard and like what systems we use and like what the cadences of meetings and like the ramping period and all that. And like, I can talk on it, but I'm definitely not the best person to do it or to explain that. I can get information on it and try and explain that or get that for you guys, but this is how I look at this. So yesterday's stats. Also, sorry, videos and Loom and all this. It's terrible. I see it jumping in the corner. But yesterday, 11 high-ticket buyers. Let's go. Not great, but not as bad as we've been. 37 low-ticket. Oh, gosh, that's not right. I always do this. 72,000 is okay. I'm not going to breathe air the same until we're at 100K a day steady again, because that's my happy place as a minimum. So, but this is good. This is right direction. We had a ton of calls though, so the sales per booking was not actually where we wanted it, but we had a ton of calls at the same spend, which is amazing because of how we're testing things with the 2 different VSL style funnels, the low ticket and like Ascension and all of that. So the math is getting closer to mathing. All right. I had some other, that was the other update real quick. So I had the Zoom thing I talked about where Zoom went down and we didn't have the Zoom links generated and people couldn't get on calls. So it was like a twofold thing. It was like during the period that Zoom was down, we couldn't get on calls with anyone and had to try and reach them via phone after telling them they could only do the call via Zoom 40 times. So that was a bad part of the day. So we had 7 or 8 units that day and then nothing for the rest of the day. During that period, when we got new calls booked, it was not generating a Zoom link. Even after Zoom was fixed, people had to reintegrate their Zoom accounts with Calendly. We don't have the tech savviest sales rep crew. Love them. They're amazing at what they do, but tech, they'll say, it's not their strong suit. So it was not, they had to reconnect all of them in order to generate them. So that took until the next day. So you have a 48-hour window. So we're finally getting out of the thick of it. And we go to look at something this morning, and I'm like, why are the show rates? I just made a show rate video about how we hit 72% on setters. At blended, we're at 62 to 65%. Like the last 2 days since then, we're 40-something. And I'm like, oh, it's Zoom. One of the automations was broken and not sending any of our custom reminders. So this is just like, it's always something. Something's always on fire. So hope that was helpful. If not, tell me privately. And yeah, subscribe, comment if you have any feedback. I dropped a doc. Where's the doc? Somewhere. But I dropped the doc on all the videos all combined into one. X is where I'm talking the most. Instagram, communication, all the things. So I will talk to you guys soon. Hope you appreciated this one. Bye.